So here we are today, a bit of a special Living Force podcast, Videocast this time, right, guys? And we have some very awesome Heroes and Legends spoilers for the community given to us by FFG. And we want to do something a little unique, a little different, so we decided to do a videocast where we're going to go through and just kind of discuss each of the cards. You guys watching the videos, the pictures will pop up as we discuss. And I think we're going to... I got who wants to tell them what affiliation? Who wants to throw out big spoiler?
Me. I got it.
All right.
We have a Sith affiliation objective set.
Yes. The best affiliation in the game currently.
The faction that needs more cards.
So I'll start it off, I guess. If that's cool with you guys.
Yeah.
We'll just jump right in. Number one here. I don't think it's been shown. It might have popped up, I guess, somewhere.
I don't think it has.
In one of the
I've
fans.
never seen it. Yeah.
I'm not sure. So without further ado, the very impressive, very unique Scouring the Empire. You guys can see this now in the video here. You can see it's very impressive. It does a whole lot for the game. It will probably change your life in regards to playing Sith.
I can't believe FFG had the stones to put out a card like that.
Lay the sarcasm on a little bit thicker, fellas.
So as you can see, it's a 2 resource, 5 health, and Sith affiliation only. So Garrett, what are your thoughts?
It's not really anything to get too excited about. I mean, it's a 5/2. It's Sith only, so you're kind of limited there. But it is Coruscant, so maybe there's like a Coruscant Sith deck coming.
Yeah.
Your what are those? The fleets. Oh, what are they called? The big units in Heart of the Empire.
Right.
Yeah.
Coruscant.
They have Protect Coruscant. Yep. So it's another one they can protect for sure.
Yep.
So it gives them a little weight. I personally, I love 2/5 objectives for the dark side. When I see them on Sith, I get excited because so far the 2/5 objectives for Sith outside of Executor arrives, I don't think are very impressive. So I like seeing
Shadows of Dathomir, I think, was the one that saw more play besides Executor, right? I think there was that deck.
Maybe.
I think that's a 2, isn't it?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
But I don't like the set all that much.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, yeah.
I think Executor Arrive's the best one. So I think giving the Sith another one, because Imperial Navy has a ton, so it's nice to see another one. I hate that it's restricted personally. I don't like restrictions. I understand most of the restrictions. There's a couple I don't understand. Without diving into the cards too much, I don't understand this one. But I think that is a negative. But I think that over the next year we're going to see some Sith only decks. So I think this is not a bad thing per se.
I have a theory why it's Sith only, but I'll wait till we get to the card that it pertains to.
Sure.
But yeah, this being restricted definitely. I mean, you can't splash Navy now. You have to be like either Navy splashing Sith or straight Sith to play this. So.
Yep. Yeah,
really
Brian, what are your thoughts?
I think, well, Garrett's already going to hit to that point, but when I play Navy, my biggest complaint is that I have very little opportunities unless I get, the perfect draw, with some defense protocols that I can't take out any units. So once we get to which Force Storm has already been spoiled, but there's some heavy analysis about that for why it's Sith affiliation only. But I'm not really going to complain. My biggest gripe that you brought up old cards is I really hate Unstoppable Advance being Sith or Navy only. That's my bigger gripe. I think this is I'm a little more okay with, because I think Navy can get by without this sort of stuff, and this seems more in line with what we've seen with the spoilers so far. I feel, except for the reserve troopers, I think would definitely combo well with this. So.
All right. Well, who wants to let's segue over to the number 2 card. Who wants to lead on that one?
I'll take it.
Go for it.
All right, we get a unique Inquisitor, Jarek.
Yes.
4 resources, 3 damage capacity. He comes with 4 4 lovely force icons,
Yep.
3 combat icons, 1 black blaster, 1 white blaster, and 1 objective damage. He's a character, force user, inquisitor. He's elite, and he's got the lovely ability reaction after this unit is focused to strike, remove a target unit from the force. So, I mean, his icons are a little underwhelming for a 4 resource unit, but I think the ability is really what you're playing him for
Sure.
because of the synergy with Force Storm.
Sure. And we'll come to that for sure.
Yeah. And, in a pinch, he's, 4 icon unit that you can commit to the Force, and that's elite.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's not terrible.
He just seems hyper defensive. Not going with the rest of the set already. This is completely not an aggressive, blow up objectives kind of set. It is worth noting that he is a force user. So if you ever complain about not having good, I think he's a pretty. If you put a lightsaber on him, Vader's lightsaber on him, he'd be pretty crazy to defend with. So it's a little plus there. I guess it sucks that he's 4 for a 3. He can be Han Soloed pretty quickly, but I think the reaction is obviously going to be the part of this that truly matters.
I like to refer to him as Baby Vader.
Little Vader.
Yeah, he's Baby Vader. He, 1 less cost, 1 less health, and he's missing an icon for damage.
Yeah.
He's elite, and instead of doing damage via the reaction, he kicks things out. But he has the same force icons, which is pretty neat. And the only thing I want to say, I know you mentioned Force Storm, which we know about already, but I wanted to throw out there, we had the IG-88 spoiler come out, and that objective set is all about dealing with things that are committed or not committed to the Force. And I think this guy pairs really well with IG-88's set.
Yeah. So in 3 years, when that set comes out, you can pair them together. Yeah, I think if this is gonna, I think this is a really interesting unit. Another thing to note is if you're playing against a vehicle deck, that this card becomes not that useful. I think overall, like you're gonna have the Force anyway. If they're not committing too much, it might see a lack of play. You might have to just dump it to win edge. I think against Jedi, it's going to be insanely powerful, which admittedly I think is kind of thematic. He's an Inquisitor. He's obviously, it just seems a bit more in line with Sith versus Jedi or potentially smugglers as opposed to vehicle decks. So
I actually think he's okay against the vehicle deck because he allows you to remove their stuff from the Force so that you can then get more value out of your Force Storm.
Yeah. Which
is a point that I want to make, during when we discuss Force Storm.
This magical card that may or may not be in this objective set. So, Brian, why don't you kick off number 3?
Number 3. Well, it's an Imperial Inquisitor. It is a 2-cost, 1 Force pip, character, Force-sensitive Inquisitor type. It has a edge-enabled blaster damage. It also generates a resource. Most importantly is it has 2 health, which if you've played Thunder Flare and had to drop those logistics officers, they die so fast to Han and things like deflection. So I'm pretty happy with this. I think we're finally trying. And this actually goes with the Sith affiliation only. That it's really cool that Sith are actually having some resource that they can generate without having to splash Navy. So, like you said earlier, there's definitely looking like we can have Sith-only decks that can sort of handle it on their own. I don't know what your guys' take on it, but this seems just like a fair deal to me.
So I'll jump in. I actually think it's pretty horrible in terms of 2-drops. I don't like many 2-drops, to be honest. I think 2-drops are only relevant in the game right now because of sleuths and blockade runners. That's probably speaking pretty bold, I know. But I think this guy having an edge unit damage icon and nothing else but a resource, I feel like I'll be pitching him to discard and draw or edges rather than him ever seeing much board play, I guess. But
I think he's fine. you need the resources to play some of your more expensive events like Force Lightning or Force Storm, and what's that one that's like Force Storm but it costs 3?
For Shockwave.
Yeah, I mean you need guys like this, because I mean his ability, if you have Jarek or you play in Echoes, you get to use the resource over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean I think he's fine. The increased health makes him a little bit more durable than the advisor. So like he just can't be hit by Han and there he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's balanced. Given the fact that Sith don't have resources, and if you don't want to actually splash and stick with it, I can't really complain. It's not amazing, but I guess moving on, it's not that you just get one of these guys. You get a lovely 2 in this set. So to me, that just screams like, hey, you can actually put one of these in your deck and have some semi, reliable Sith resources.
I think that FFG. I'm going to assume here that FFG probably has some form of math behind what needs to happen to a unit in terms of icons when it has a resource or what would make a 2-drop overpowered, what would make a 2-drop underpowered, et cetera, et cetera. Just glancing over things, this guy has worse. He's basically worse than an Ugnaught. Ugnaught at least has a black unit icon, and it's not hedge enabled. And Ugnaught's reaction will probably kick off more than this guy's. My assumption would be that they might be worried that this guy has some potent combos, and maybe he does that I'm just not thinking of, I guess, or that we haven't seen yet through the rest of the set with manipulation to removing things from the Force. But I don't know. To me, this guy's stats are just really bad. I think he should have at least maybe been like 2 Force icons to make up for some other things. But
Yeah, I can agree to that point.
I do. I think these guys are incredibly underwhelming. But
Okay,
that's just me. We can move
What
on.
I'm going to say is you thought Supporting Fire was.
I did. I definitely thought Supporting Fire was much better than it is, and it is. To me, Supporting Fire is always underwhelming. I don't know if you guys have had that
I've had
experience.
one good experience with it. I did not realize, and I made a fool of myself, that you can't use other edge cards with it, or fate cards. I just completely forgot that element. So I was like, haha, heat of battle, sucker. And it's like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, aha, I'm the sucker. And I felt like an idiot. I felt stupid.
Well, like the problem that surfaced with Supporting Fire is that you play it and you either don't need to use its text or you do need to use its text, But the majority of the times I play it, I really don't need to use its text. Like my opponent either played a twist or my opponent ended up playing like a 1 or something.
If it was 2, it'd be a lot better. I think that's actually the worst part, is it only has 1 force blip. If it had 2, I think it'd be a lot better. The fact it only has 1 is sort of like you're rarely going to play it by itself and not have to play another card with only 1 pip. 2, you can actually potentially get away with that, especially on defense. You might trick your opponent and win edge, and not have to do anything. But 1, I mean, it's riskier. Anyways.
So moving on, we have another spoiler coming up. Everyone here is going to be totally surprised that number 5 is Force Storm. As we've discussed and has been spoiled before. I think it's actually been spoiled since September. Is that right?
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, I think September was when they spoiled Heroes and Legends, and I think that's when it popped up. But we'll go over it here. Costs 4, 2 Force icons. It can only be played when you have the balance, and you do 2 damage to each unit not committed to the Force.
That's pretty good.
Terrible artwork, though. I'm just going to say I think the artwork is disgusting.
I like the artwork.
The guy he looks like a homeless dude. That's all I'm going to say.
But a homeless guy with a lightsaber.
And lightning coming out? I don't know any homeless man that looks like.
Well, in the Star Wars universe, even the homeless people can be Jedi. So maybe this guy just got really mad and found a lightsaber and committed to the dark side of the Force. I don't know. I think Garrett had some big things to say about this.
You definitely had some things lined up, so.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be it's going to hit the vehicles much harder than I think the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
because a lot of vehicles don't get committed to the Force. They just try to rush you. They commit certain things that typically aren't like their vehicles or their good vehicles.
Right.
So like this is just it's gonna wipe their board or close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like Red 2 health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't wipe it out,
Protectors are
there's
2
no way.
health.
Yeah, it's gonna kill everything.
Yeah, the Y-wings are 1 health. So I mean, this thing's dealing 2 damage to everything, and the protectors they can't protect the 2 damage from anything else once they've got that 2 damage pending on them.
Yep.
So the board just this is basically just a board wipe. I mean,
Yeah.
home one is left at 1, Falcon is left at 1, but still, I mean, you hit a Falcon for 1 with a heat of battle, and then if you have 4 resources up, they got to be like, well, does he have it or does he not have
Right.
it?
Well, you can bluff really hard if you've got the 4 resources. You can specifically say, do you want to take an action? And they might be in a real, like, even if they won the edge, if you played like a heat of battle, stuck a point of damage on that Falcon, and you ask them if they're going to take an action, they might be really hard pressed to go ahead and take that action.
Yeah.
That's your
it's
tip.
a scary card.
Yeah. It's interesting. It flat out kills Han. It flat out kills Yoda. It puts
Flat
Luke
out kills
at 1 health.
protectors.
Yeah, it
Yoda's
kills.
usually committed to the Force stuff.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, things that it can do across the board
Right.
are pretty sick. I think Lightside has 1 health of 4 unit, and it's Redemption.
Renegade Squadron has 4 or 5 health.
Yeah, it's 5 health. Yeah. So there's some things that it's just okay against, but it's crazy the amount of things that it's really good against.
I mean, against like a smuggler, like a smuggler character deck, this just kind of destroys it unless they got a bunch of Wookiees with Wookiee Life Debt out.
Right.
Oh, but that would wreck those too. I mean, hypothetically, they're swinging because they've been damaged in some sort, so or you know what I mean? They're trying to trick you, so they might not be committed, and they now all of a sudden they have 2 health on them, and they're not, you know what I mean? Their protection layer goes down massively. I think it's really interesting to note how I said, Jarek's not great against vehicle decks as much. This sort of balances it out. I was playing a game the other day, and attack pattern Delta hit like 4 or 5 times in a game. The board was flooded, and I was sitting there like, I could see why Dennis runs a single copy of what's it called? The Force Shockwave pod, because it's a board wipe. It's a guaranteed basically board wipe against vehicle decks if you're feeling overwhelmed, and this is even better because this is a guaranteed board wipe against entire vehicle decks. And it'll basically, it'll kill Luke just about too, because he's never committed to the Force either. So
I just
think
want
it's
to
really
live
nice.
the dream where I put Emperor on the board, tactics down a lot of vehicles, then I play a Force Storm to blow up all their vehicles, and then now the next time they blow up one of my objectives, I get my Force Storm back.
Yeah.
I've got it primed to wipe their board again. I like that a lot too.
Yeah. Yep. Seems pretty good. It will take up. I mean, I guess the intriguing part is Navy doesn't have a problem playing 4. This is good holocron bait. But it really depends on how much is in your deck, because this could take up almost your entire turn. And it seems really good. This is definitely one of those cards where if you're sitting on, you really need to know when to play it. I mean, it's an action window. So are you going to play it on your turn? Because, if you don't and you're sitting on 4 resources open, your opponent's your opponent knows the card pull. It's really going to come down to that, the action window.
Play it after they declare an engagement.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If you have a tactic icon, you get to lock down their best unit and hopefully wipe out the rest of their board.
Yeah, it's really strong. The action window is huge. So I don't know. I think this is a really, really powerful card, and I think this unfortunately is going to completely squash vehicle decks to a point where it may actually shift away from vehicle decks for a while until they get something that can sort of counteract this.
I think that's kind of the point, though, right? Like, I think a lot of the set is designed to be, kind of haymakers for both sides, manipulating the Force, controlling the Force. I mean, if we look at what the light side has seen so far, I don't know that we've seen any little guys. I mean, even that, is it Moldy Crow spoiler that we've seen? I mean, even that thing looks pretty beefy as a vehicle. I think it was a cost of 4 or something. And so I'm just saying, like, I think this year we're probably going to see a lot more like mains decks. I think they might come to the forefront a bit more. So this still seems really good against them too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think the strongest thing about this is that this and Jarek combined with the other sets like Emperor and Executor give, even with Vader, really, it gives you so much removal as a dark side player that it's pretty gross.
Playing this with Vader, you play this, deal 2 to everything, and then the 1/3 health thing that lives just gets pinged off by Vader.
Actually, that's a point. If you have Vader on the board and they attack with the Falcon, if you have 4 up, you can completely destroy the Falcon.
No action window for them to swap it. That'd be mean.
That's very interesting. Good catch, Garrett. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was this thing with Vader against the Falcon is pretty good.
Yeah, you just said Vader, and it like triggered my brain to remember the reaction. I'm like, oh yeah.
That extra 1 damage.
Yep. Or even if they've got Guardians down and they play Luke, you could just do the same thing. It's if you've got Vader, it's pretty sick. It's good.
Yeah.
I think the card is going to be like less good against the Jedi, just because like typically I commit the Guardians.
Right.
That's usually my plays. I just commit them. So if your Guardians are committed and they play this, well, you get to protect.
Right.
All kinds of damage with it. You get to save your mains. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure all our viewers are dying to know what the final card is. Who wants to spoil it?
I will not be spoiling this card.
All right. Garrett, it's all yours.
All right. Last card is Echoes of the Force.
Whoa!
Go figure, because nobody saw that one coming.
It's very fitting. It really, this is one of those FFG couldn't have done any better in terms of including, I think. So I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I like Echoes. It's going to make people change their habits.
Yeah.
And what gets committed, what doesn't get committed, and I mean it's gonna screw both sides equally.
Yep.
It's gonna be fun.
Forcing your opponent to commit Han, so he's a lot less effective. Things like that.
So I'll just go ahead and say it with this card, with the Force Storm, and with Jarek. I'm kind of mentioning it earlier, but I really like the synergy that this set has with the IG-88 set. I really like it. It's a lot of stuff going on there that I think is really neat.
Did IG-88's set have Echoes of the Force in it as well?
Yes, he does have Echoes.
So yeah, they will. They look like they'll play well together.
Well, the Sonic Detonation captures one of their committing cards, and the little droids in there gain target strike while there's no enemy units committed to the Force. So you can Echoes of the Force out guys just so you can target strike them with the droids, and then obviously IG-88 becomes really beefy when there's fewer than 3 enemy units committed to the Force. So.
But you'll have to run a lot of Scum and Villainy affiliation because this is Sith affiliation only.
Yes, you'd have to run like this, and so maybe 4 Sith and then 6 Scum or something like that. But I don't think that's a bad thing, personally.
Yeah.
Garrett, wrapping things up, what were your overall thoughts on the set?
Oh, I like the set. It's pretty good. I mean,
I just like your ho-hum attitude towards it. You're like, yeah, I like it. It's good.
It's a good set.
Yeah.
So you would play it frequently, or you would try to find a home for it?
I'm gonna try to find a home for it. I like, you get the two resource objective, which isn't terrible. I like Jarek and Echoes and the event Force Storm. I really think Force Storm, people are gonna try to find a way to make that work, either with the holocron or just tons of resources. So. It looks to be an interesting set.
Brian, what are your overall thoughts?
I don't know if I would run 2 of it because I don't think I want 4 Imperial Inquisitors. I'm definitely happy with 2, and I think 2 Force Storms might potentially be overkill. That's even possible. Jarek, I don't know yet. I really don't know how he's going to play into it, but I think overall this is pretty balanced. It has potential character hatred with Jarek, the resource I'm madly in love with apparently, and Force Storm just looks like there's not going to be too many games where that you draw that card and you're like, oh man, I'm really upset that that's in my hand now. Like, it just seems extremely versatile. And like we said, two resources for Sith is just I didn't think that they were going to start doing that, and then Executor came out, and it just sort of like, they're trying to rely less on Navy for resources, and I think this is definitely a new direction for a Sith pod, because I think overall it's really balanced.
Yeah.
I just think you don't like Homeless Jedi.
I don't. That card is butt. All right, it's almost as bad as the IG-88 Shadow, but I digress.
My overall thoughts are kind of mixed, I guess. I try to look at objective sets, and I try to determine their strength by judging up how worried I am about seeing those cards in my opponent's hand. So here, as a light side player, if that objective flips up, I don't really care. It's better. I'd prefer them to flip up this than Council or Fall.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they play Jarek, I'm not thrilled, but I'm not really terrified of them.
Yeah, that's most of their turn too to play that guy. I mean, that's 4 costs.
Yeah,
I'd rather play Mara Jade.
I'd much rather not see a Vader or an Emperor, or he gets played for free with Sith Holocron, so I think that's relevant. Obviously.
You mean he costs 1 with Sith Holocron?
Oh yeah, it's 3 not 4. Yeah, so it costs 1. So I'm kind of on the fence there in terms of fear. Like, do I want to see him on the board? Probably not. Do I care if he's on the board? Probably not. It just depends on how good his reaction ends up being later on in the cycle with all the ways to manipulate struggle. And then my thoughts are well known on the Inquisitors. So I really don't want my opponent to play Force Storm at any time. I don't believe. I think that card is a pretty
I think we didn't touch on one last thing on Force Storm, is you do have to have the balance of the dark side, and considering the set is completely seems to be tailored towards that card could be dead. If you know what I mean, if you don't get the right things out, that card could be a dead card for a long time too.
I kind of see it the other way around. I feel like this set will do just fine helping you keep the Force, I guess. I mean, Jarek's a 4, and you get an Echoes, which kicks their guys out. So I think Force Storm will see plenty of play.
I think it will too. I just mean if you're playing against a Jedi deck that's sole purpose is to take the Force from you, and they do a better job of it, right. Force Storm, might potentially be a dead card, which is why the Echoes of the Force and Jarek may be a lot more powerful. I mean, if you remove Obi-Wan and the new Obi-Wan with Jarek from being able to, to grab your cards because they didn't win the Force struggle, I mean, that could completely shut down their strategy as well.
Sure.
The Sith typically don't have a hard time like grabbing the Force back from the light side. So I don't see this card ever really being dead. Right. And if you can play it on their turn, I think it's better playing it on their turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because then you got your next turn to set up for, defense or trying to push some damage through.
The Holocron just gets better and better.
That's something we didn't mention. If you have Emperor's Web down and a Sith Holocron, that thing's free.
Yeah. Yep. So you can just sit there and bide your time, and then I drop 2 more 2-drops, boom, and then their entire board gets blows up. That's a good game moment, unless they have something equally as devastating.
It definitely seems like the talk of this conversation has definitely been Force Storm. So as a light side player, do I want my opponent to ever have Force Storm in their hand? I would say I'd prefer them not to have that card in their hand. It just seems like it's going to be bad news bears for the light side when that happens. And then Echoes, I'm pretty confident that this year is going to see a whole lot of Echoes. So I think an objective set that gives Echoes is going to be very good, almost no matter what the rest of the set does. But so I like it for the most part. I'm totally indifferent on 3 of the cards, and then I don't think I want to see the other 3. So I would say it's probably going to be okay. I don't know that I'd say it's going to be great. It really just comes down to how powerful Force Storm ends up being. So.
If you like Force Storm and you like Echoes, you have to like those Inquisitors.
Why?
You're gonna like that card or else.
So I think with what has been spoiled thus far, this Sith set and Heroes and Legends Kyle's set, I think this Force pack's looking great. The first 4 packs from the Hoth cycle were very, in my opinion, mediocre. And then the last two packs were just like crazy, like Han and Luke in the same pack with the Executor. Just all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like it went from a scale of like 4 or 5s to like all of a sudden they're hitting like 11s. And I feel like this is kind of on par with those. So that makes me excited that we're starting off strong, it would appear.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Garrett, are you pretty stoked for Heroes and Legends as a pack?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Kyle Katarn set, but I'm excited for new cards.
I will make you a believer.
Good luck. That's just not what I want to do with Jedi.
No, what do you want to do with Jedi?
Blow stuff up. So I guess maybe I should just stick with vehicles.
Yeah, I think if Moldy Crow lives up to its spoiler-ish card thus far, then I think that and Red 5 are going to be very big vehicle-driven Jedi themes. So you'll have your wish soon. Was the number on Moldy Crow? Do we know what pack that's actually coming in? I can't remember if that number was there.
I don't think we got that.
We saw two halves of it. It was in two different spoilers. Like we saw one half that showed part of it. And then we saw another one that showed the other half of it.
Oh, really?
So combined, I think it cost 4 and it had like 2 or 3 health.
Yeah, I'm just I was more wondering about the number so we could try to determine what set, because it looks like this is, if I've read that data sheet right, it looks like this will be 97 through 102. So I was just wondering if Moldy Crow was a 103, if that's in the next one or not.
Oh no, I'm sure somebody has.
Someone's figured it out.
Somewhere.
It looks like it's a 107 is what it looks like. So not this coming pack, but the next one, it looks like. So not Heroes and not Lure, but once Knowledge and Defense comes out.
Oh no, Join Us or Die is the 4th.
Yeah.
Knowledge and Defense.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm pretty stoked. I'm really looking forward to the new stuff. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm definitely excited. So I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, this whole cycle is going to be fun.
Change. Yeah, it's. I'm way more excited for this than Hoth, and I do agree that the first few Hoth was like really disappointing when they came out. I was like, well, I can't put this in any decks.
Yeah, Lightside outside of Rogue 3, Lightside seemed to have a rough go of it, but that's just my opinion, I guess. So.
Well, they got Renegade Squadron.
Yeah, that wasn't until, was it the 3rd or 4th?
I thought that was the 2nd Force pack.
Was it? It might have been. I don't even know. Yeah, that sounds right, actually, because I think that Smuggler's Den deck started showing up around then.
Yeah.
I don't think it was too much further than that in the game, or the game cycle. But anyway, I think that about wraps up the video. I hope everybody liked checking out the spoilers and liked hearing our argument of thoughts on them. You guys have anything else you want to add in there?
And if they don't like them, too bad.
I apologize if you came here for a really quick summary because we like to talk.
You two like to talk. I'm the man of
I know.
feelings.
That's what I like about you. You just let me yammer on for 10 minutes straight. That's my favorite feature about you.
His second favorite feature are your eyes.
His beautiful eyes.
And on that note, that will give us a wrap for the video. Hope all of the viewers liked it. Check out the Living Force episode 5, which went live earlier today and featured some very special guests. And I don't know about Brian and Garrett, but I really hope everybody likes it. I'm sure they do too.
I hope I just want negative posts about it.
All right, well, that wraps us up, guys. Again, we hope you like the spoilers, and we will see you all next time.
Ta-ta.